Hi, hello, and welcome to the Unplugged Ladies Only show for March 11th. It's a Monday. I'm joined this week by Teresa Echols, Leah Zanolla, and Kathy Werling. And of course, I'm Julie Martin, your host for the show. This week, we're going to be talking about women in travel, not just Disney specifically, but any type of travel that you wish to do. So I wanted to start out by talking about a recent tragedy, which it's a little bit sad, but it has something to do with what we're going to talk about today. So last month, well, actually 2 months ago in January, Sarai Sierra, she was a 33-year-old mother of two from New York. She took a 2-week trip around the world to sort of photograph some of the major sites around Europe and that area. So she had left on January 7th and was supposed to return on January 21st to her family. She never made it. She was murdered while in Turkey. And as sad as it is, it's kind of brought some light to how people actually feel about women and traveling and whether or not they're alone. So I came across a blog on Huffington Post, and this was written just in February, so not that long ago, and it's by Leah Zanolla, and it's Should Women Travel Solo? She kind of discusses the media outcry that happened afterwards. What she writes about is some of the things that were said after the murder, and people have responded by saying her 2 young sons should have been her primary focus in life and not traveling to a foreign country to take pictures. Responsibility and parenting go hand in hand. This woman deserved what she got, and also that women should never travel alone.
She said this, or people were saying
this? This is things that have been said by either media outlets or the public in general.
Okay.
And so I'm sort of quoting some of the things here that she said. She says that the media covered in comments about Sarai's murder uncover a clear subtext. She had it coming, and none of this would have happened had she stayed home where she belonged. Also, they say that maybe if she had been a man, maybe these comments wouldn't have been made, because no one's going to say he deserved what he got or he should have been at home with his kids.
That's true.
Very true. She says that she believes that this is repulsive in the year 2013, and that with greater statistical probability that she probably could have been murdered right near her home in New York. It's my belief that when it's your time to go, it's your time to go. No matter, if you're in a car, if you're swimming, if you're, doing whatever. If it's your time, it's your time. And, her death was horrific and not her fault, of course. She goes on to say that the murder should have never happened. It wasn't her fault, and that the mere thought that any woman exercising independence and self-reliance could be blamed for the subsequent violence against her is an insult. Obviously, as you can probably tell, I do agree. I don't think that it was her fault. I don't think that women should be just sitting at home. It's not 1942. I'm sorry. I just feel like danger is out there. And it can find you no matter where you are.
It can come right to your house.
Exactly.
It's living right next door. It's everywhere. And if it's her choice, it was her choice to do this.
Yeah.
But just like it would be someone else's choice to stay home and not do that.
Right.
She had children, but I'm sure she was a loving mother. To say she needs to be home with her children,
yeah.
Well, and you're not with your kids 24 hours a day.
No,
your kids go to school and you go out and do whatever, and it could have happened.
She has, a support system where her husband and possibly other relatives were willing to say, okay, you know what, go out and do this. This has been your dream for a long time. Yes. We're going to take care of everything here. Have a great time.
Yeah.
Now, I have mixed feelings about it because she is a mother, and there are times, heaven knows I like to go out and take pictures, but there's times as a mother, it's like, okay, I will have that opportunity when my kids are older. But at the same time, I wouldn't want somebody to say to me that I couldn't do it because I was a woman.
Right.
I agree. Now, along the same vein, a couple years ago, when I went to Europe with Pete and Walter, I left my children at home. They weren't young children. Mm-mm. Stella was, 8, 9 at the time. And I had a support system. And I worried about them the whole time I was gone.
Of course.
But it didn't keep me from having the opportunity to go. If the opportunity was presented, I'm going to do this.
Well, I'm doing that right now.
Yep.
My kids are at home. I live in Illinois. And
that's right.
We're gone for 10, 11 days. But Dave's parents are there, and I know that they're well taken care of, and something could happen to me at home just as...
It is. It's Monday. Who's doing muffin tins?
Well, I put one up last week.
Did you?
I left. Yeah.
I love it. Not a totally side note, but I just don't know me. It's Monday. It's Muffin Tin Monday.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love that. I mean, that's such a cool thing to do with your kids.
Oh, for those of you that don't know, Leah does what she calls Muffin Tin Mondays, and she themes, it's a meal, and she themes it. So say it's like Ocean Day.
Yeah, and so I serve the food like in a muffin tin. They tend to eat more if it's in like smaller portions than handing them an entire plate of food. And so I just like for the ocean, I might serve blue Jello, and that's the water. Or I've done seaweed that's green peppers, and they tend to try things more when it's fun.
It's fun.
Yeah.
And for me, seeing these muffin tins that you're doing, that's totally changed the subject.
I know,
but it reminds me of when my kids were little and the fun little things. You know, I always used to cut everything up into little miniature. You know, you'll try to.
See,
those
are things though. Like you could have set that idea aside and been like, look. Either Dave's mom or your mom say like, okay, this is Muffin Tin Monday, so
Dave's
please
mom
do
did
this.
them. She's done them before because they watch the kids every year when we come on this trip, and so she's
so you
done
travel
them before.
without your children, and you worry about them when you're
and
traveling.
I talked to them right before the show, the ones that were home, and
and going back to what Julie said about you believe when it's your time, it's your time. I believe that too because I don't know, I don't want to get all religious, but my life's already planned out. God knows what's going to happen to me and the road it's going to go. That's what I believe. But I also believe you can take precautions. I mean, you got to protect yourself.
That's right.
So I don't know what this woman was doing or not doing.
Yeah,
Maybe
if she put herself in danger or not.
If she put herself in danger, we
Right.
don't know. But don't blast her because she left her kids.
That's exactly right.
I used, after my husband died, I worked and traveled almost every other week. And my kids were teenagers, and they had a support system also. And after 9/11, I asked my kids, do you want me to still keep traveling? Because, that had happened. And my kids said, do you love your job? And I said, yes. And they said, well, then you need to keep doing it because then that makes you happy.
That's awesome.
So I felt like I had my kids' blessing to go out and do it. And, I think it sort of comes into you have to know what works for your family.
Yeah. And every mother, what works for one mother doesn't work for another.
I'm also a firm believer that mothers deserve a break.
That is true. Whether it's a weekly break or
going to Walmart without children.
That's
the best thing in the entire world.
Going into, my kids know that after we finish a podcast on a regular Tuesday, when I come home, you have to give me a little time. Mm-hmm. Don't talk to me. Just let me. Not that it's a bad thing, but I just need that little. I'm just going to sit here and chill out for a minute
and decompress.
Yes.
Don't ask me for anything when I walk in the door, unless someone's bleeding or dying or there's something horrific happening. Just give me that time. Give me a little bit of time. And I'm good with that.
That's
I'm
right.
fine.
One time Katie, when I used to travel, Katie came with me. And Katie could never understand why, after I came back from a trip, why I had Monday was my day. It's like, just don't bother me. And she went with me on one of the trips. And one weekend we were in New York, and the next weekend we went to California. And she came home, and she was like exhausted. She ended up with pneumonia. And I'm like, see, this is why, you have to pace yourself. But until she went through it, nothing I could have said would have done anything to Katie.
Right, yeah.
And until you're a parent, you don't know. You can't. Right. You shouldn't judge other parents. What they're doing, whether they're traveling or not.
Everybody's just trying to do the best they can.
Yep.
That's all you can do.
That's all you can do.
So, because of this article and it talking about what it did talk about, I thought it might be cool to kind of mention some of the places that are off limits to women. Like it is illegal to either go there or they have been banned.
They cannot travel.
They cannot. Yeah. You cannot travel there
alone
or at all.
Okay.
Some of these places. So
do tell.
I just want to give credit because I did find it on FoxNews.com. Blaine Batchelor, he wrote this just in January of this year. But the first place is Mount Athos, Greece. This is only men with a special permit are allowed to visit the holy mountain, in quotes, where there are 20 Eastern Orthodox monasteries. And in the photo, it's actually showing you one of the monasteries on the mount. The belief is that the presence of females, and that includes female domestic animals,
I thought that was interesting.
blocks the monk's path to spiritual enlightenment, or the men who may be traveling there on their little, enlightened journey.
Blocks their...
Yeah.
messes
In
with
other
their mind.
words, in other words,
We're female.
I think it's the
Can't get
female
religious.
sexuality.
Okay, that's what it
obviously.
is.
But okay, I don't understand how female dogs or cows can get in the way of that.
Well, when you're in a monastery, I don't know. I don't even want to go there. But
I know, exactly. It's kind of weird. Right? The second place is Saudi Arabia.
Oh, I wouldn't. Yeah, that would be a hard
It's
place.
actually tourist visas are pretty much, they don't exist. You can try to apply for a business visa or like to visit family. It's hard if you're a man or a woman, but if you are a woman and you do make it into the country, you have to be escorted by a male relative at all times, and you cannot do anything without that man's permission or the government's permission.
That doesn't sound fun. So
Yeah,
No.
so that's not a place that
not on
I
my list.
even want
It's
to
not
go.
on my
Yeah.
list. Yeah.
The next place is, please bear with me in my pronunciation, Haji Ali Dargah Shrine in Mumbai, India.
Oh yes.
This shrine is dedicated to a 15th century Sufi saint, and his remains are also buried here. It's considered un-Islamic for women to visit graves. So there's a sacred area called the Sanctum Sanctorum.
The inner sanctum?
It's off limits to any female visitors. You cannot go within this area of the shrine.
Wow.
You're not allowed.
Okay, so I'll take that one off my list.
The fourth one would be any Hindu temples in India or Bali. And this is only during certain times of the month. Everyone knows what that means, right?
Certain times of the month, the calendar month, or my personal month.
Your personal month.
What if that personal month doesn't happen anymore?
Oh, well, then you're good to go.
Just wondering for
So,
future reference there.
The reason is that if you are a ministrating woman, you are considered impure, and you cannot enter any sacred area of the worship center, and you cannot receive communion either.
Okay. Or do housework or anything like
Yeah,
that.
so I kind of want to know how they monitor this. I mean, do they just want you to be honest
Is it,
about?
yeah, is it like on my honor?
Or like, are you going to work that day and this guy's like, yeah, well, today's not going to be fun.
Well, I think if you live there, that's part of your culture. You probably don't
Right.
think a second thought about it.
But-
But like, if I was going to travel there,
Yeah, they stamp your visa and ask you, or what?
yeah,
How,
how
do
does that work?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know how they monitor
Once again,
this, or
I
how
won't
they
be finding
possibly
out.
could.
Yeah.
But it did say that on occasion, if they somehow discover that you are
what would happen?
impure, sometimes they retaliate with violence.
Whoa.
Which would be major violence,
Oh, I'm sure.
like disfiguring or whatever.
Well, they didn't go into detail.
Yeah.
But like,
Ooh,
I just
ooh,
pictured
ooh.
stoning in my head, you know?
Or-
Maybe.
well, yeah.
Too many biblical stories about stoning in my
Or I always they're cutting off body parts and
Yeah,
I don't know.
it-
It's fascinating yet scary.
It is. It really
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
The fifth place on my list is Mount Omini in Japan. There's a Buddhist temple near the peak of the mount, and for more than 1,300 years, only men have been allowed to climb up to it. The belief is that women are too much of a distraction for the religious pilgrims who are to be under strict self-denial during their time on the mountain. And now,
Okay.
I was looking through some photos of this as well. There are also extremely large signs that say, no women beyond
Go
like
back,
a certain
go
point on
back.
the mount.
That's what I was wondering. How well is this advertised? You know, like if you're planning a trip there or
Yeah,
something,
family
you know, is it on their
trip.
website
Yeah.
or
That would
something?
really bum me out.
Right.
Not that I'd be climbing a mountain anywhere.
So
Interesting. What's the next one, Julie?
the last one on my
My
list
personal favorite.
is the Galaxy Water Park in Bavaria, Germany. So in the summer of 2012, which was just last summer, the water park decided they were going to ban women from one of the high-speed slides. It's called the Extreme Phaser Slide because it was causing intimate injuries. Supposedly you can hit speeds of up to 45 miles per hour on this particular slide, and it's a body slide.
and their business was getting injured.
Their business was getting injured. It's according to the park, at least six women were injured last year.
Is
That's
this
what
one of those
caused
like
them.
straight up and down slides?
I did not
there
see
something
the
impaling
and
you
that's
there?
right. I'm wondering. I'm like, what is at the bottom of this slide that
Really?
is causing intimate injuries?
Or is it just like the rushing water coming at
okay?
you?
Well,
I don't know. Put
I've
your legs
ridden
together.
Summit Plummet at Blizzard
Yeah.
Beach, and you do get a pretty mad wedgie.
But
I mean,
still,
I wouldn't consider that an intimate injury.
Dang.
So
Look at the guys over there in the back.
hey, and I was also a lifeguard at the bottom of that slide. I've seen way more of people than I cared to see. People would come
So
down.
but go on to read that. Isn't there something they've since rescinded that, or are they still
No,
banned?
they have not rescinded it.
Interesting.
But
Yeah.
they're allowed in the rest of the water park, right?
Yes.
Just not
Just
on
not
that
allowed
slide.
on this particular slide.
Well, if it's, I don't know. It sounds like it would damage anybody, as far as I'm concerned. I mean,
Yeah,
Well,
that's
yeah,
what I
how
would
is
think
it
too.
not? How's it not
really,
hurting?
it'd be
the
messing with
guys?
everybody's business, right?
Right. And men are a little more sensitive, in my opinion, in that area.
Oh, I agree. Shall we talk about that? No, let's not.
Okay. So, well, that concludes the tourist destinations where women should not be traveling. I hope that did not hinder
Disney
anyone's
wasn't on there, so we're
future
good.
travel
Yeah.
plans.
Really? To rethink my summer trip.
So I thought we might talk about some of the tips that we have as women that have traveled either alone or with a friend or in a group. We could talk about traveling wherever you want to travel or in Disney as well. But some of the things that I just kind of thought about in my head is always be cautious. Always
Definitely.
be aware of your surroundings and who's around you and what's going on. I think sometimes, even especially at Disney, that people get too comfortable. But if you're a woman who's by herself, there's always somebody out there looking to do something bad.
You can I could tell, I spent a lot of time in airports. You could tell who it was like their first flight because they're looking around like they're in the big city. If you project that you're confident, like maybe I didn't know where I
Right.
was going in the airport either, but I looked like I knew where I was going. But
Yeah.
there's some of these women like, oh,
Yeah.
That's another
It's-
thing I
you're
was
a
going to
target
say.
right
Yeah.
there.
Right. Be confident, even if you don't know where you're going.
Yeah.
Because if you're standing out in a town that you're unfamiliar with a map and you look confused and scared,
Please help me.
yeah, that just attracts the wrong kind of attention.
I did that once in Philadelphia. I was there for work, and I had rented a car, and they'd given me a Lincoln Continental. So I looked like I was wealthier than I was, and I got lost in Philadelphia because I drive by landmarks, and I was trying to get towards the shipyard, and I got lost, and I pulled into this gas station.
Wait, back up. You were going to the shipyard by yourself? What was that
No,
about?
I knew that the hotel was over by the shipyard, and that's like the direction I needed to head to
okay.
go to the airport. And I pulled into this gas station because there was a policeman there. And I thought, well, who better to ask than a policeman? And he goes, oh, honey, you're in the bad part of town. And I'm like, yeah, I already know that. How do I get back to the airport? He goes, oh, I don't know how to tell you. He says, you'll have to get a map somewhere. And this was like before you could do all this stuff. So I eventually did find my way back, but the policeman was of no help. And
You're in the bad part of town.
yeah,
On
like,
the wrong
gee,
side
thanks.
of the tracks.
Yeah.
Man. But that always happens. I mean, I can remember childhood trips with my parents, and that we weren't traveling alone, but my dad had and he doesn't watch the show, so this is cool. He had the ability to find, the wrong side of town when we were looking for something. And I always, as a child, I always thought it was a great adventure. But looking at it now, I
It
probably
could have been dangerous.
Yeah. But traveling alone, I think I've done it a few times. My first trip traveling alone, Julie, you reminded me of this. When I'd first moved to Georgia from Illinois, and I wasn't married yet, I decided I was going to drive my car back to Illinois to visit my parents. And that's what, a 12, 14-hour drive. Mm-hmm. And at that point, I had never pumped my own gas.
Really?
It never came up. It's something I never wanted to learn, so.
Oh, that was one of the conditions my dad made.
Oh,
on
no.
me, is I had to know how to do that.
I grew up with, back then there were full service full service gas stations. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm always going to have to find somebody to pump the gas for me all the way there. So I drive through Georgia, I drive through Tennessee, I drive through Kentucky. At some point, my gas tank, I don't know where, I realized, gosh, I got to get some gas. And I let it go to the very last minute and pulled over, and it was like the proudest moment of my life when I actually pumped the gas myself. I mean, I was in my early 20s, but it was exciting to travel alone. But you also had to be aware of, when you pull, especially if you're in a car, well, at any point, but in a car, where you get out in a well-lit area, make sure, there's more than one, there's people around. I wouldn't get out where there's nobody. Like when I had car trouble a couple of weeks ago, and my car died down by the prison, and it was dark, and the minute I pulled down this road and the car died, the street light went out, and then weird people started walking by the car, and I'm going, okay.
It was like a movie.
It was just me. It was like me and 4 teenagers with, we found a blunt pair of scissors and some perfume. You know, I mean, and we had and the car died with the sunroof open. So like, okay, they're going to reach in and grab us. You know, what the heck we're going to do? And you know, we devised a plan to, you know, perfume them and then stab them with the blunt scissors. But anyway, yeah, be aware of your surroundings, definitely. So
I think if it's a trip where you can plan ahead, that you should do so.
Yeah.
And making arrangements as far as like where you're going to stay, and also being knowledgeable about where you're going, reading up about whether or not there are certain customs that you should adhere to.
That's a good tip.
You know, I think that sometimes, especially when you're a younger woman, you know, and you can wear tank tops and short skirts and just sort of live freely. A lot of places that's going to attract the wrong kind of attention, no matter where you are,
or it's disrespectful.
Yes, it could be disrespectful as well. That's true.
Yeah.
I would say too, arrive during daylight hours.
Yep.
Because then you can see your surroundings, you can see what's going on. If you get to some place like you step off the plane at 10 o'clock at night, and even to come here to Disney, it looks entirely different when you're coming from the airport to Disney in the dark than it does during the daylight. So arrive so you can see what's going on.
Mm-hmm, definitely. I think packing lighter, not carrying, packing a big giant suitcase that you have to lug around everywhere. If you can carry on, a lighter suitcase and then one bag, it'd be, in my opinion, like if someone were after you, it's easier to get away. If you have something light to carry, you have a gigantic suitcase.
Wait, I just drop it.
I was going to say, I'm not taking the suitcase with me. If somebody's,
I would use it as a weapon, is what I'm thinking.
I don't think I've ever carried on just a suitcase because I don't like lugging my suitcase through the airport. So
you always check?
I always check. And in all the hundreds of flights that I had, one time my luggage was delayed. So I can't use it. It was stolen or whatever. But when I go to baggage claim, I don't stop. I don't go shopping. I don't have lunch and then go to baggage claim. I go down and meet my suitcase so that nobody steals my suitcase.
Yeah.
Off the baggage claim area. So I'm there to see it come off. So for me, it's easier to just check it.
I've done it both ways. Do you always check your luggage, Leah?
Yeah, on Southwest because it's free.
So. Still free, yeah.
Yeah. I always try, if I'm going somewhere, to already have the directions either printed or in my GPS or whatever, so I don't have to sit, in a parking garage or a parking lot or whatever and have to figure it out.
Yeah.
I always had like a travel folder that had like, okay, here's my hotel reservations.
You still do?
Yes, and
when
I just
travel with you, do.
And I just pull things out, and it takes you all of 2 seconds. And again, it looks like you know what you're doing, rather than I'm in a strange city now.
But don't be scared to talk to people either.
Oh, right.
No. I enjoy.
Just be cautious. Make sure that you don't pick someone who is
shady.
Yeah.
Male or female. Right. Doesn't have to be a guy. It could be
Women are just as easy to...
Evil people.
They can be the ones, the one distracting you while their male counterpart is getting away with your stuff.
Pillaging through your belongings.
I have mostly traveled alone, either by car. My first trip alone was on a Greyhound bus. I was 19, and it was not fun.
Oh,
I traveled from Orlando to Louisiana to go visit my family, and the bus ticket was cheaper than plane. So after the trip there, I had chosen to sit like towards the middle of the bus. I didn't want to be right in the front. I didn't want to be in the very back because I figured that shady people probably sit in the back. I wasn't sure. But I made sure like I had magazines and books and things to keep me distracted because I really didn't want to talk to anybody. I wanted to keep to myself. Well, after my trip there, and I did encounter it just was like bus stations are kind of shady, and I don't know, it seems like everyone was smoking on the bus anytime there was a break, and I just felt really out of place and not at home. So on the trip back from Louisiana back to Orlando, I sat in the very front of the bus next to the oldest lady I could find. And we had a fabulous trip back.
Next to the oldest lady you could find, who was probably 40.
No, she was a grandmother. I mean,
she was probably 40.
She was
no. She had gray curly hair, like she just had her hair done or something, I would guess that she was probably in her 80s.
Wow.
Traveling alone.
Might have been my grandmother. My grandmother, this is kind of bizarre, she traveled alone on a bus to Mexico one time to get medication for her arthritis.
Oh, wow.
And then she went one time, my mom went with her. It's like women traveling alone to Mexico. It was kind of bizarre, but But yeah, bus.
And nowadays, you should not be going to Mexico alone, okay, people?
No.
No.
That was way back when. But yeah, I've traveled a bus a couple times, and it's
I have a lot of safety things. Corey is very big on wanting me to be taken care of and safe. I have mace. I have a small stun gun. It sounds like
With you? Oh,
wow.
100,000 volts of electricity. I can
Seriously?
shoot right through your body. Seriously.
You carry it all the time, or just when you're traveling?
No, usually if I'm alone.
Did you bring it with you?
No.
Oh.
I was going to, but I didn't want to scare anybody.
Could've done a demonstration.
Or accidentally stun gun someone. I'm always scared
I think
I'm going to
Teresa
actually
was
do it to
going to
myself.
volunteer, weren't
No,
you?
I was going to get Sean up here.
We're going to
do
get one of
it.
the guys to do it.
Yeah, I mean, he's even given them to his sister, too. Which I think she's alone way more than I am.
Well, does he like have a closet full of this stuff ready to go?
No. Well, he has a closet full of other things, but I'm not packing him up.
Involve travel?
I'm not packing heat, I should say. Those are all kept at home. Although he's really insistent that I need like a personal firearm, and I do not want one at all.
To tote with you when you're out and about?
Yes.
Okay, does Corey tote?
No.
Okay.
You have to take a
Now,
class
see, that's something
to do that.
I never thought of having when I traveled.
Me
That
either.
never, and like now when you see everybody talking about guns, it's like, did I miss something along the way? Because I've just never, when we lived in Africa and somebody broke into the house and my dad had the gun,
Did he shoot?
he was going to if he would have gotten close enough. But then after, and they had taken the bad guy away, my parents were sitting there and my dad still had the gun, and I walked in the room like, as kids do, and
Yeah.
the gun was in my face. Now that's the only time in my life I've ever felt like on one hand I was glad my dad had the gun, and if I would have just done things a little bit differently, I might not be here today.
Yeah.
Because of the gun. But for the whole rest of my life, I've never felt like I needed a gun.
I don't either. We were one Sunday morning. We had gone to church when before Stella was born, so I just had the 2 children. I think Grace was a baby. We had come home and there were robbers in our house,
Awesome.
and they went out the back when we came in the front. Why we went in, I don't have a clue. Just okay, let's go in. The front door's wide open. What's going on? But I never once thought I should get a gun because I would be terrified to what I would do with it. I'd be scared.
I grew up in a house with guns, so I have a healthy respect, and my dad taught me how to shoot. Corey has also taken me to, or he's, at least once, I know how to use the gun that's in our house. He's going to be gone for 4 days. I have a house alarm. According to statistics, break-ins happen like every 10 seconds. And if someone broke into my house while Corey was gone, I would have no way to protect myself, but I do now. Because I'm telling you what, if you come into my house, I'm going to warn you once and say, you come any further in, I'm going to shoot you. I will.
Wow.
I'm sorry. I'm going to protect me and I'm going to protect my children, whether or not that is traveling or in my own home.
Yeah. Leah?
I just read an article about a little girl. She was 11 and she was home by herself. She was in her second-story bedroom, and 2 men broke in and started coming up the stairs. Well, she was some kind of trained, I don't know.
Ninja?
Trained at shooting guns. I don't know. So she ran to her dad's room. She was like a world champion. I don't know what you call these people.
Maybe
but-
she shoots clay pigeons like for a
I
competition.
don't know. Yeah, she's won a bunch of awards and everything. So she ran and got the gun from her parents' room and like crouched and was positioned and ready at the top of the stairs and shot the guy and killed him as he tried to come up the stairs.
And what?
11. And then the
my
next guy tried to come up
gosh.
and she shot him too, and he fell back down the stairs and
Hey,
killed him
but
too.
the things that could have
11
happened to
years-
her,
I can't
good for
imagine
her.
my child
Yeah.
doing that.
Good for
though.
her. And good for her parents for teaching her how to protect herself. And, the fact that she was interested in that and they did not discourage it.
See, we have a plan of what to do, but it doesn't involve guns. It involves, protecting yourself in other ways.
Well, of
whether
course.
it's hiding or,
Yeah.
or whatever you have to do. But I just can't imagine. We had guns in the house growing up. I mean, my dad was a hunter, duck hunting and such, but I never thought to use them. But I don't know. To each his own, I guess. I just,
For sure. But, if you're the kind of person who feels more comfortable having something at your disposal, like whether it be mace or pepper spray, that is a deterrent that you could get away to get help.
I always carried it in college. Like our parking lot, we all had to park in a big parking lot away from the dorms, and so I would work late at night, and I'd always carry my keys, through my fingers, and I had my mace that had an alarm on the other end of it, and so I was prepared. Even though I was only walking like a block, it was still dark, and so
I'd probably try to talk my way out of something and be horribly poor at it. But no, do be prepared, and if so you carry mace with you when you travel alone. You would.
And I keep it with the kids. I usually keep it in my door, so that way, when I'm getting myself in or out, or the kids, that, if someone approached me, I could just reach and grab it.
Yeah. And also, coming home alone, if you have to come home in the dark, make sure the lights are on outside, because if people are lurking, and even in a hotel room, they're lurking in the shadows. Not always, but that's where they're going to be, right?
People think we're a bunch of scaredy cats.
Well, I was I went to check into a hotel in Atlanta, and the minute I walked into the room, I knew that was not the room that I wanted to stay in.
Oh.
Because there was like a gap under the door. It was in a fairly nice hotel,
Yeah.
but I just felt like in the morning, if I woke up and I was still intact, it would have been a bonus. It was just the hotel that was just screaming out that something bad was going to happen. And that was the only time I ever went back to the front desk and said, give me my money back. I want to go to a different hotel.
The only time I've ever been scared traveling, I wasn't alone, it was me and a girlfriend. We flew to California to go to this concert in 1983, I think it was, and we stayed at a Motel 6, and there were no phones in the rooms. And this was back before we didn't have cell phones or anything. And we were in our room, and some guy kept knocking on the door, wanting us to come out. And we didn't. We just stayed in the room quietly, waiting for the sun to go down and the man to go away, because we didn't know. We're not going to step out there, you idiot. We don't have a gun, but.
Well, I have a story that's even better. The first trip I ever went on after my husband died was a group of widows and widowers that we went to New York. And this lady recommended this hotel. And you know how when you see the picture of what the hotel's supposed to look like, and it looks so nice? It was called the Royal Inn. And I'm like, oh, this looks like a really nice place. And I walked in, and they were behind bulletproof glass. Okay, and this was before I started to travel.
Was it like an hourly motel? Or?
And that they said to me, how long are you going to need the room for? And
30 minutes?
And it just sort of went like over my head, because... why would you ask me how long would I need it? I get up to my room, and outside my room is a condom machine. But I walked into the bed. I walked into my room, and the ceiling was mirrored, and the shower was big enough that you could have had a party in there. But this was before I knew.
Yeah.
Was it clean?
It wasn't bad, but it was like I was totally out of my element.
Yeah. When they're behind bulletproof glass.
But I made sure that, I says in any place you'd stay, that the door was locked, the chain was on it. I even put a chair over in front of the door. But, now I've learned not to trust the descriptions of hotels.
Yeah. And don't be afraid to ask for a different room if you don't like the location.
Or a different hotel.
Yeah.
I should have gotten in a cab and gone somewhere else.
Just go someplace else, yeah.
There are a lot of really great sites out there for research. We love TripAdvisor. Corey and I use that a lot, because usually... it's not based on just what the website thinks, but based on reviews from other people who have actually either stayed at the hotel or a restaurant, resort, whatever it is. So I would recommend that site. But I know there are also some sites that are dedicated specifically to women in travel.
And now we have the Diz too. You can get on there or Facebook and say, hey, look, I'm going to wherever. Does anybody have a hotel recommendation? Or what do you know about this part of town? We've got friends around the world that can help us for a lot of this stuff.
That's exactly right. So, well, we're going to sort of switch gears a little bit and talk about some of the things that are new and up and coming at Disney for women. Specifically, the new Vera Bradley bags that have been announced. They're going to be Disney inspired. I got my information from Nicole Mancini's blog, so hopefully it's accurate.
Do we know her?
Maybe a little. So it's the new bags are set for release in the fall of 2013, and it's going to feature Mickey and Minnie Mouse hidden in 2 new floral patterns. The first is called Just Mousing Around. It's pink, orange, purple, and yellow. And then it's kind of based on the more 1920s Mickey and Minnie, which I love that Mickey and Minnie. So I think that's really neat. So Mickey will have on his red shorts, and Minnie will be in her blue and white dress. The second design is Midnight with Mickey. Ooh. And its colors are a little more bold. Daring. It has a black background. There'll be blues, pinks, greens, and yellows. And of course, Mickey and Minnie Mouse make their appearance, but they are in their more modern drawing style. I personally am not a really big fan of the Vera Bradley bags.
No.
I know they're really big. I I know tons of people who are. So this is not really for me. I do prefer the Dooney and Burke Disney bags, but I'm not really a big Dooney and Burke fan. Like, I'm not going to go in the store and buy the regular style.
It's too busy. I don't know. I don't.
And heavy.
Yeah, it is heavy.
And too costly.
To be honest, Vera Bradley screams, my grandmother carries this bag.
To me, as one sitting beside me here, because Leah brought one with her, to me they look like toiletry bags.
Yeah,
You know, like
you hide them.
you'd put your, because I'm all about the pretty, and I love florals. I love the whole theming, but it just looks like I'm toting my,
I have
your
toothbrush and
unmentionables.
I have 2 of them, but I really just use them here. They're like the messenger style, crossbody kind, and I like the shape of them. I don't, I'm not like somebody who's devoted to them. That
You don't
I
have a closet full of bags.
No.
I'm not knocking people that like this kind of
no.
thing and want to
To
spend their
each
money
their
this
own.
way.
To
That's
each their
perfectly
own.
fine. I prefer to use my money for other things, and this just is not that important to me. They're cute, but it's not. I don't know. I guess it's just not for me.
It's just okay, right?
It's okay, yeah.
Yeah,
And it's
the Mickey and Minnie, because I went to see them at the Flower and Garden Festival. They've got this picture up here is a display picture. They've got all the bags, like the whole line set up. And Mickey and Minnie are really small. I
Yeah.
was surprised. Like the
you really
Dooney
But
and
you can't
yeah.
really see them.
yeah, the Dooney and Burke Disney bags. It's like
It's all
Disney's
about it, yeah,
everywhere.
yeah.
And this is a lot more hidden. The
More
the
sedate.
characters are kind of small on the bags.
How
It's
expensive
more
are
about
they?
Vera's design than it is about.
But it's the same
Right.
friggin' design. Every bag looks the same. I mean, it's the same shape, right? Come up with something interesting. Do a little.
There's different ones in the basket that you can see. They've got wallets and then like the little wristlets, and then the one in the back is a really big duffel bag. They've got tote bags.
The pricing?
No, I didn't see anything about
The one,
pricing,
no, I
but-
didn't say. A normal one, what they call a hipster, which is, I don't know, like the size of like a magazine, maybe. That I think is like $56.
Wow.
And so they're a lot cheaper than the Dooney and Burke bags. So
Yeah, they are.
Just because of that, they
But
might.
I don't think they'd last us. I mean, that's a different quality.
Yeah, they're different. One
Different
good thing
material.
about them is you can put them in the wash
Oh,
because they're
really?
totally fabric.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah, so I
mean,
know
they're
people
cute.
like them for
They're
that.
cute,
so.
but I'll take
It
my
looks
$55
like
and do some.
1974 threw up on that bag.
Yeah, it's not something I'd want to carry around all the time, but like the one that I have with me that Teresa's talking about, I bought it because of the size.
Yeah.
'Cause-
It's a nice size.
and it was half off.
Yeah.
It's a crossbody bag.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think those are
It's
really
cute.
good for traveling. They're they're not as easy to get away from you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
And then
s-
I can get in and out of it
In
quick
and out of
because
it
I'm always
easy,
pulling
yeah.
out my phone or a water or something.
Not to go back to the story we had before, but talking about this makes me think of bags when you're traveling. It's nice to have an open bag, but it's also slightly dangerous too because if you got an open bag hanging on your hip,
Oh yeah, always make sure
anybody
it's closed.
anybody could reach in.
And you don't want to leave it unattended. I was telling Teresa the other day, it made the news here that they were going on about the lady got her purse stolen out of the shopping cart. Now, I just sort of thought that was always common sense, like
Yeah.
something you didn't do in the grocery store.
Did she leave it and like walk away?
Yeah,
or?
it showed her that she was actually on video, and she
She
didn't walk
reenacted
that
it or
far.
what?
No, they showed.
Oh,
her
it was on
doing
camera, okay.
Like she had parked the cart and she was going to get some beans or something, and she'd only gone like maybe a couple steps.
And
this guy-
walked off.
And this guy comes up and grabs it and takes off. Well, she took off running then after the guy while she lost her purse. But one of the things that I do, like when I used to travel all the time, is I always keep my wallet in my pocket, in my pants, and it creates a bulge in my pocket sometimes. But I didn't want to ever get stranded somewhere without my ID.
Your stuff, yeah.
So at least I know, like if they took my purse that had other stuff in it, it's like that can all be replaced.
Okay, so she ran after them.
Yes.
Let's take a quick poll. Would you run after them or would you just
No.
leave them? You wouldn't run.
I'd run.
Would you run after them?
Yeah.
I'm pretty
Especially
fast.
if I'm in a grocery store. It's
Yeah.
not like I'm running down a dark
But
alley.
what if you're at the airport or
I tried
you're
to
at the
stop a
park or
guy.
somewhere and you'd chase
my-
the person down?
Probably.
Or
I
jump
mean,
on
I'm
top of
probably
him.
not going to catch him, but I would
But
try.
like, you're not taking my purse, dude.
My mom and sister and I were all in a Target shopping, and we heard people screaming, and we looked up, and a guy ran right past us carrying a purse, and we had heard them screaming, and so I lunged at him, and I missed him, but we tried.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So
I
you
don't
would just
think
let
I
him
ha-
run?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't.
If I had $1,000 in my wallet,
Depends on-
maybe I would. But if it's
I don't know.
a small amount of money, it's like I'm not going to have something
Well,
happen to
I
me.
would at least
'cause
put the effort up.
I don't think I'd chase him out the door
I'd be
and down
screaming
the
to other people to
street,
chase
and
him.
yeah,
Hey,
but
stop
I'd
that
certainly,
man.
if I was in the store, I'd chase him through the store, screaming the whole time, trying to get
Yeah, I'd be
somebody's
screaming my head
attention to
off.
come.
I really hardly ever
Stop that man.
go anywhere without having a crossbody. If I'm shopping, I always wear my crossbody.
I a lot of times just take out like my debit card and stick it in my pocket because I always have kids with me, and I
Yeah, I do too.
don't always want to carry my purse into the store with me,
Yeah.
So I get rid of as much as possible.
Yeah, and mine's small. Usually, like, that's what I'm carrying. Hold on. Here we go.
Oh, she's gone down.
Grab it. Yeah, see, this is what I usually carry.
Yeah.
I wear this.
See, but if I'm
like-
traveling and I'm in the parks,
And keep it zipped.
I have a fairly inexpensive. I got it at Target. I'm not going to go out and buy Vera Bradley for the parks for me. I just need a bag that will carry what I need to carry, and if anything I want to buy, little purchases,
Yeah.
I can stuff them in there too, or stuff my jacket in there, whatever I need to stick in there. I don't need a giant overpriced bag for that.
And I would also say, whether you're wherever you're going, when you're traveling is not the time to wear your best jewels, or even like carry a Vera Bradley. If you look like you've got money, again, that's another one of those things that people.
But that's
are
when
gonna,
you
So
want to look your
I have a
best, though.
story about that. Katie and I, Kathy's daughter, went shopping we were in Nassau, and we were going shopping for purses, and we made sure it was just the two of us. We didn't know where we were going to end up, so we didn't wear fancy jewelry. We didn't carry Disney Cruise Line bags because we thought then they know we were on a nice cruise line. And well,
opposed to the ferry
good
that just
thinking.
came
but
over.
we were and I did have actually Disney Cruise Line on my tote bag, but I turned it around. But then when we bought something, we put it in the tote bag, so it was sort of hidden in, because we ended up going down some alleys and stuff, and
Wow.
Was this on the last
Looking for that
cruise?
deal.
I think it was on Podcast Cruise 3.0.
Oh, okay.
I think. Yeah.
I just wasn't sure.
Yeah, no, it wasn't just the last one. But.
So nobody at this. You would buy the bag. You would buy the Vera Bradley.
I don't know. Maybe if I found it on sale. I don't need one now. I just bought one.
Yeah. I
So-
won't be making the purchase.
if somebody
Yeah, I don't
gave
know.
me one, I'd certainly use it, but I wouldn't
probably
go
would
out
give
and
it to
buy
Fin-
one.
If someone gave it to me, I would give it to Finley.
I would return it. I'd check, see what it was worth, and sell it on eBay.
If I hadn't just bought the one that I had, I maybe would, because the one that I have, I can't really reach mine to hold it up, but it's a good size for carrying around the parks. And so because I come to Disney and I'm staying here for a while, I might buy one of those to use at Disney.
I mean, I understand,
but
Nikki told me teachers love them because they have a lot of storage and a lot of pockets.
it has a
and
lot of
things
pockets, and
inside.
so I've got hand sanitizer in one, my
Right.
phone in one, my
Good for organizing.
yeah, so it's nice for that. And the other thing that's nice, at least about the ones that I have, is that you can change the handle size. You just move the little strap thing, and so like I've changed
Yeah.
it. It's a crossbody, or we went out to dinner, and so I made it shorter, so I didn't have this thing strapped
That's
across
okay,
when I've
that's
got my
cool.
nice
My
dress
purse does
on.
that too.
So yeah.
What else is new? Just the bags? Or?
Nope, just the bags and the Beautifully Disney cosmetic line, which just came out this month. I haven't got a chance to see it yet, but it's going to feature palettes based on some of the colors from your favorite Disney characters. Wickedly Beautiful collection is going to be available soon. It's it's an array of lip glosses, eyeshadow, and nail polishes. And
the
it's
one
gonna
up on the
feature-
screen is something different, though.
There's two different new
That's the
ones.
Jasmine collection.
Oh, this is the Jasmine collection. But we're going to talk about that too. So
Okay.
it can stay up if it wants to. But that's it's
it
actually
wants to.
coming from if it wants to. This actually comes from Sephora. This is an exclusive line through Sephora, and it's limited too, just like this.
Oh, is
limited
this one
time.
limited too?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm actually really excited about this one because they have an eyeliner set, and I'm really not good at putting on
It's
eyeliner.
the Magic Carpet Eyeliner Set, isn't
Yes,
it? I believe that's
yes,
what it's called.
That's what
yeah.
it's called. But I know a lot of times. I don't know how to say this, but like sometimes eyeliners, they're not as dark or they're not as easy to put on. And this looks really easy. Like,
does
it just
it?
will glide.
Okay.
And it's like 3 different things.
And these are all
inside of
sold
the eyeliner
separately?
set. These are all sold separately.
It's like
So
Home Shopping Network.
there's
These are all
a whole new there's a whole new world perfume, and there's also
read. Does it say on there with the scents in the All New World perfume?
no.
I was reading that, and it smells just. It sounds absolutely disgusting because it's got all these earth tones and musky, and I'm not real musky, and then it goes in and there's
Probably
something,
has like rose water.
and then it has gardenia, which absolutely makes me gag.
Really? I love.
I don't like gardenia. I have somewhere in my childhood there is something hideous that happened to me that involved a gardenia. I'm sure, because every time I smell it, it's like, oh my god, I got to get away from that smell.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I don't like gardenia at all. It's too strong. But yeah, I'm sure this is all,
It's a whole new world perfume. So this is Love perfume, the Magic Carpet Ride eyeshadow palette. I'm
They're
sorry,
pretty,
all
they're
I
pretty.
can think about is that song, Magic Carpet Ride.
Yeah. Which you could not apply eyeshadow if you were on
No,
Magic
you could
Carpet.
not.
You couldn't do it.
They also have the Midnight Hour eyeshadow palette, and I'm sorry, I can only think of that Billy Idol song.
So that would be more gothic. Okay.
Yeah. And the One Is Never Enough nail set and the Story Look eyeshadow palette. In my opinion, these palettes look really fun.
Yeah.
Especially for younger girls. Like, I don't really wear a lot of bright colors, but the nail polish, the eyeliner, and I might
I do like the polish colors.
I think those look really
Yeah.
cool. So, and they also have a compact mirror that you can buy for $20. Just use the one that comes in your powder. You don't need a fancy mirror.
It's interesting that they have this out at the same time as this other beautifully Disney. Like that they're both coming out right now.
This one is more
only,
sedate, I think.
This one's only focused on Jasmine, though, whereas the Beautifully Disney is going to be focused on Snow White, Cinderella, Ariel, Aurora, the Evil Queen, Lady Tremaine, Ursula, and Maleficent.
Kathy and I saw this line.
And what did you think of it?
It was pretty.
Yeah.
I mean, it had a lot
The
of bright
colors were
colors.
nice.
Colors are pretty. Polishes were sparkly.
Where was it at? Is it at Trendy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I don't want to wear anything that Lady Tremaine wears. I think her
Really?
makeup is awful in
It's
Cinderella.
evil. Yeah. It's the harsh old woman makeup. I go for that some days, but usually I like the light, the colorful things. But yeah.
I'm excited. I'm gonna go and check it out, and I will
The prices
probably-
aren't too bad.
No, I mean Sephora's always gonna be expensive.
Yeah.
They just are, because they do. I mean, some things are not, but usually they are a little.
I
more
like though
expensive.
that they test things.
Right.
So they'll try things on you.
On
and see-
animals or what?
Oh no, like
No,
they'll
when you
keep
go in the store,
pre-testing.
when
Isn't-
they'll let you try things on.
Oh
and
yeah, I
they'll
do
come,
love that.
and
I do love
Yeah.
that.
Is that the store that we went into when we were out in Disneyland? That they
Yes.
were so
Yeah.
nice
Yes.
to us when we
They
lost
gave
our-
us samples of They said because our stuff hadn't arrived yet, and so they gave us samples of everything that we used, and they were so nice about that. I mean, it was amazing. Like, okay,
Oh, I love Sephora.
Yeah, I do too.
I mean, they're open to trying anything.
I like Ulta too, though.
Ulta's good too.
Ulta's
But it's basically the same sort of store.
Yeah,
If you go to a drugstore, you can't try
No.
makeup on, and I would imagine that this Beautifully Disney line, that you're not going to be able to go into the store and test anything.
no.
The
that was
first day
all-
that it opened, they were doing
Makeovers.
your makeup. Yeah. But they're not doing that now.
Yeah, I feel certain that it's
Well,
not.
you can
gonna
try
be.
stuff on when you go to a department store usually
Yeah.
too.
Yes.
But I think this is cool. I like that.
Oh,
I
yeah.
wish they would do all the princesses, not just.
I think they
too.
should have a counter like in Trendy that you could go up and get
That would
your
be
makeup.
awesome.
That's a great
wouldn't it?
idea.
Yeah.
Because then you'd be getting more of that experience like you get when you go to Sephora, Ulta, or a
Yeah.
department store. I mean, in my opinion, that's the way I prefer to purchase makeup.
Well, you
want to
try it.
test
You don't want to, well, this might look good, and you get home and then, you
Yeah.
I mean, the
do
only
it once
things
and you look,
that I
whorish or
purchase-
whatever. You don't want to.
The tried and
Get rid
true
of that.
things that I've been using forever, like certain CoverGirl colors, certain
Yeah.
blush, things like that I can get maybe at Walgreens or somewhere. Because if I can buy it cheaper, I'm going to. I'm not
Oh,
going
yeah.
to go spend so much money.
Yeah, there's a place for drugstore makeup, but
Well, I was going to say, how likely are you to buy that makeup in Trendy, not knowing, like how it covers, how it stays on?
I think a lot of young people, the colored
Oh yeah.
eyeshadows, they're going to be all over it because I think it's not something that they'd use all the time,
And nowadays, like teenagers today, they don't know whether or not they're a summer or a,
Right.
even when I was coming up, I can remember that big makeup color wheel.
Oh yeah,
They're like, okay, let's spin the wheel. Let's see what you
Yeah.
are.
that's
I mean,
true.
they're not aware of that. They wear what they like.
They wear what they
no
like.
matter
They wear
what.
what their friends are wearing, and what's trendy at the moment.
That's exactly
it's just,
right.
It's not,
We're out
you're
of-
right. I didn't realize you were old enough to have that experience, because that was something you had that experience too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I can remember that. I remember go to the makeup counter in the department store that we went to when I was, in high school, and they would recommend things and, for your coloring and show you what your coloring is.
And I hated it because of that. So Mama Gay, she made me stick to those colors.
Yeah.
And I loved purple eyeshadow. So
It wasn't in your.
it was not in my little palette. So my grandmother, she gave me this old eyeshadow that she had from who knows when.
Avon.
And I wore that purple eyeshadow.
Well, all right.
I had a lot of hand-me-down makeup, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I
I
do
did
the
too.
same thing
Yeah, I
with
did.
with Finley.
Yeah.
When I have something that's maybe a little bit empty, I'm like, okay, go.
Oh, yeah.
You can have that. That's your makeup
Stella's
now.
got her little stash of. She breaks it out and does her stuff up and looks like the Queen of Hearts from.
Oh,
movie.
yeah.
She gets a little over
Yeah,
it.
Finley got in my purse the other day, and I had a bright pink lipstick in there, and I forgot it was in there because I told her she could go and find my gloss. Well, she skipped over the gloss, brought the lipstick. She comes out, and it's like from here, it's like all here.
She knows what to do.
Oh, she does it, but
yeah.
and I'm like, can Mom just kind of get it back into the line?
Yeah. But I think this is cool. This is a nice,
Oh, yeah,
that's a
I'm-
nice addition, I think.
That's a
wish
good store
that-
to have it into.
Yeah.
I wish they would do. I need Sleeping Beauty line. I need Aurora.
The blues.
What if
and
she's the wrong season for you then?
Oh well, too bad. I'm not paying any attention to that anymore. I would think Cinderella would be the wrong season for me.
Yeah,
Probably be a lot of
Cinderella's more me.
blues
Yeah.
And
Pale. Yeah, that would be you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd be more Cinderella.
I guess I should be more Snow White, but hey.
Okay.
Well, because she's in the same color.
Oh,
as her.
okay. Okay. I don't know where I'd go.
Yeah. What were you thinking?
I'm
Because
thinking.
you have the dark hair and eyes too.
Yeah. I'd probably go Cinderella. Or no, Snow White.
Yeah.
Though I really would lean towards Little Mermaid.
Oh.
I always wanted red hair.
I love under the sea colors.
Yeah,
those
me
are
too.
yeah, those are
Those
nice.
are pretty cool.
Yeah, like
It's turning
shimmering.
into delicious dish we're talking about.
Well, that's how I
I
wanted
can
to
hear it
end
in my
it
head.
though.
It's like,
That's
that's
how I wanted to end the
awesome.
show.
That's so
I thought
sweet.
ending it with something on a lighter note, instead of so serious how we started the show, but whatever.
it's cool. It's good.
Yeah, it is cool.
all good.
So I can't wait to see what they bring out next. As far as the Sephora collection, and then with Beautifully Disney, this is not every character, so I'm hoping that since this is limited, that they're going to come out with other characters as well.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Is it going to be limited, like in 3 months it's going to go away,
I
or are they
think
going to add to it?
I think it's a new line that they're going to have out, but the limited part is it called Wickedly Beautiful?
Yep.
That's the limited part, I think.
So the next one could be different.
Right. It wasn't very clear
Okay.
what
So you can
exactly.
only be wicked
And
for
I
a
don't know
short
why
period
it's
of time.
wickedly beautiful, because Snow White, Cinderella, Ariel, and Aurora are not wicked. Since it's
Yeah.
called Wickedly Beautiful, I think they would have concentrated more on the villains.
Evil, yeah.
Like they'd have the evil queen, Lady Tremaine, Ursula, and Maleficent. But I mean, like, what about like Nerissa, from Enchanted,
Yeah.
and then also the evil stepmother from Rapunzel. I don't remember
Yeah.
her name.
Well, maybe they'll bring more out,
Yeah.
and add to it.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what the next one will be called and see what it's going to look like. So,
My stomach's growling. I apologize if anybody can hear that.
I said before the show, mine's going to start growling. I'm hungry.
So what's next?
that's all I had to talk about.
Are there any questions from chat?
Yeah, Sean, do we have anything going on? Does anyone have anything to say?
Anybody listening? Anybody out there?
Yeah, there are some people listening. Basically, I just agreed with you when you guys were talking about your solo travel tips, and they're excited about the makeup and Vera Bradley. So
Yeah, I figured that there would be more people excited about Vera Bradley than not.
we shared that story on Facebook, and it went crazy viral.
It has
Yeah.
is it like 10,000 or?
It's unbelievable. Yeah, people were
Yeah.
very excited about those bags.
Are they really?
Mm-hmm.
Just
one
not
thing I
us.
do like about the company is Vera Bradley. It was named after the woman's grandmother, I think.
her mom. It's two women that started it, and it's
Yeah.
one of their
right.
moms.
And so I thought
Yeah.
that was kind of nice that keeping it in the family.
And it's really not
named-
that old. I think it said maybe the 1980s it
I
started.
thought it said 84.
Yeah. So I was surprised. I guess I just assumed.
And I had never heard of it until like very recently.
You know, I
no, I
remember
remember
it
it.
from
I
a long
remember
time
it,
ago,
yeah.
but then it kind of went away a little bit more. It was just older
I
people,
don't
but
remember
now
that.
every girl in the parks, the hipster is the one. If you like Vera Bradley, you know what that one is. It's the square one. Every girl has that. Every college girl has a hipster. Or the backpacks, actually. They're kind of smaller backpacks, which is kind of nice. And so then you don't have to carry this, you know, the JanSport, you know what I mean? Like a school backpack. What, did I go old school for you there?
No, that's the kind of backpack I like. I'm sorry, you know.
You like a big backpack?
Well, I have the JanSport backpack that I carried all through high school and college.
But to
still.
carry through the parks, I mean. We've seen all the girls have
Yeah,
had
that
them.
screams middle-aged man to me.
The big...
The big backpack
Yeah.
with all the family's belongings in it.
Right.
Trudging through the park. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
good.
several of the college girls that were here with my husband's college class, and at least 3 of them that I can think of off the top of my head have Vera Bradley bags. So,
Well, cool.
Yeah.
There's a market for it.
There definitely
Disney found
is.
it. They got together, and it's all good. So
Well, good for them.
Yeah.
I'm glad there are people that like it, so this woman's business is not going under.
No, there were people at the displays at the festival center for the Flower and Garden Festival, and there were women walking by and stopping and saying, "Oh my gosh, are these for sale somewhere?" And I was standing there taking pictures, and so I said, "No, here's the
Giving
sign.
out
It says
information.
fall." I did. They were asking questions, and so fall of 2013. So
I personally like the sports sacks that are out right now.
yeah, those
Yeah.
are nice.
I really want one of those. I like the black background that has sort of a UK theme. I saw them at Trendy when I was shopping with Nikki a couple of weeks ago, but they didn't have the size and the style that I wanted,
Yeah.
or I would have bought it. Because I love the sports sack. I think it's a good bag. It's usually pretty sturdy.
I just like weird, quirky things. It doesn't necessarily. Any one name brand doesn't scream at me. It's just if I like the bag, then I like the bag. And
The small word theme one, oh, those are so sweet, but they're white. I just can't have anything white.
are they fabric?
Yes.
Yeah, I wouldn't want.
Yeah.
white
It's just like
fabric.
with the new Doonies that aren't leather. They're more of that silky fabric.
Yeah.
They're beautiful, but they're white. So I'm like, oh, no.
Yeah.
One pin mark, I'm like, oh, no.
Yeah.
It's
I'll be
over.
sad, and
Yeah.
it's over.
Yeah.
So
be beating people.
that's right. Well, I guess I'm just going to say thanks to everyone for tuning in, for listening to the show, for joining us live if you did. We'll be back again next month. And I believe we decided on April 17th for our next show.
Yeah.
Yes.
So join us then. And we'll see you all again soon. Thank you so much.
Cough my way out.